Hi everybody. Hi everyone. This is Felicia Malone with my Power Review, episode 306, The Right Decision. And this last week's episode helped me was a roller coaster ride. We saw Tommy ended up killing the love of his life, Holly, and Ghost helps him bury him, and they are back as a team. This week's episode, they started by showing some flashbacks of previous scenes, and they go back to the scene when Ghost was taking out the other partners in their network, in their syndicate, and he kills the Serbian. And the Serbian had previously started working with Tommy. He tells Tommy this is only temporary until Milan, who is his boss, gets up and running. And we see Milan make an interesting reappearance during this episode. When this episode starts, we see Ghost. He's walking down the street and he comes across Tommy, who is asleep in his car, because he can't sleep in his house. Tommy, his head ain't right, which, although he's a thug, murderous killer, anyone's head would be right if they killed the woman that they love. So we see Ghost, in this brotherly role as he takes Tommy. He walks him to the door. Tommy, he drops his keys. He's so out of it, he can't even open the door. Ghost opens the door. He's like, I'm going to make a pot of coffee. And they're there because they have to develop a plan to kill Lobos. But during this time, we see Ghost care for Tommy. Tommy, he's talking about, their plan to kill Lobos. He's going to be with Hugo and the crew when they break Lobos out of federal custody. And his eyes trail toward the bedroom, and his voice trails off. And we see Ghost walk up and close the door and redirects his attention to the task at hand. So there are really three arcing storylines in this episode. We have, I call them TTG, Tommy or TTJ, Tommy, Tasha, and Ghost. Tommy, Tasha, James, 2TG. I don't know. They could be an R&B group. But we have Angela and her crew, and then we have the whole Serbian storyline. So while he and Ghost are going over the details, who should pop up at Tommy's door but Tasha? Now, Ghost doesn't know that Tasha and Tommy have been working together. Well, Tasha, Tommy, and Holly. So when she walks in, both of them are just shocked as Sugar Honey Iced Tea that they are there in the same room with each other. And they're basically forced to work together in this whole partnership again. It's like the old gang is back together, but nothing's really the same. That old adage, you can't go home. So they're back, but everything's different. So they come up with James comes up with the bright idea that as his alibi, he's going to stay at one of, the hotelier's name? Karen Bassett's hotels. And to do that, he's going to be staying with Tasha, and he and she are going to act as if they're husband and wife. So Tasha, she's like, why can't Tommy use Holly as an alibi? And Tommy's like by the window on the phone or something while they're having this side conversation. And James is like, because he knows Holly's dead, Tasha doesn't. Oh, that's not gonna work out. And she's like, oh, did she break up with him? Did she tell him about the baby? And so then Ghost is like reeling because he knows, oh my gosh, Tommy's head's already not right. If he finds out that Holly was pregnant, he's going to lose it. I mean, totally lose it. And he's like, he really doesn't even get a chance to answer because Tasha starts feeling guilty that maybe she was the reason that they broke up because she basically told Holly to tell Tommy. So that kind of takes Holly off the table in Tasha's mind right now. And they can go back to executing this plan. So what we see is Tasha and Ghost, they check in to Hotel Bassett, and it's this huge, luxurious manor, and it's really this lifestyle that Ghost had promised Tasha, and then he promised Angela, but he's now at the hotel with Tasha. So he goes out for a run, or that's the excuse that he gives, and Tasha is pretending that he's there. So he decides to use Karen Bassett as an alibi. So when he goes home, he's packing, he tells Angela, oh, I have to stay overnight in one of Karen's hotels to get the full experience. And then Angela's like, you have to stay overnight for a meeting? He's like, oh, you should come with me, knowing all along that the whole Lobos thing is happening the next day and Angela can't go with them. And Angela thinks she's keeping a secret. She's like, oh, it's a big day at work, I can't go. And Ghost is just relieved because he's going to the hotel with Tasha, of course. And then we see Tasha at the hotel pretending that, Ghost is with her. Karen Bassett rings the doorbell. Tasha puts on a robe over her clothes to make it seem like they had been relaxing. And she's like, oh, James is in the shower. Would you like me to get him when he's done? Have him call you? She's like, no, just relax, enjoy your stay. And then we see Tasha go into the bathroom and turn off the shower. And, of course, Jamie's not there because Jamie has dipped out. So then we go to Angela and her crew, and everybody's in this room, the whole task force, and everyone's on pins and needles as they are preparing to move Lobos from the federal facility to another facility. And so Greg Knox is the point guy, meaning he is in the vehicle with Lobos. So that's the decision. Everyone, they're like, we're on the move. Greg sends the signal over the radio, they're on the move. Then Sandoval, because he's dirty, he texts Hugo and he's like, OTM, or on the move. So the wheels are in motion. So we have Tasha as Ghost's alibi. We have Ghost somewhere in the cut. And we have Tommy, who is actually with Hugo's guys to intercept the van that Lobos is in. And so the breakout. The van's driving. Greg Knox and Lobos have this moment, and Lobos basically puts his leg on Greg. Is like, massage my calf, and then Greg's like pushes him away, and he's like, you're going down for a very long time, and so is Ruiz and James St. Patrick. So we still see, even now, he's still trying to tie James St. Patrick to Lobos, and Lobos like, never heard of him. So as they're driving, Tommy and the crew, they throw out these spikes across the road. The van rolls over the spikes and then veers off the highway, and the action starts. So Greg's like, oh, we have a situation. He's basically saying they're under attack. And so everybody in the room is panicking. We have Sandoval, we have Angela, and we have all of the head guys in the room, and everyone's just like, we need guys, we need backup. And they hear gunshots, and Greg's like, we're shots fired, we're under attack. And then we see Hugo's guys and Tommy. They're all in black, and they have automatic weapons. They jump out, they shoot the driver, they shoot the other guy, and then Greg, pops out of the van, and he's shooting people, and he shoots one of Hugo's guys. And then we see Tommy step over the guardrail, and he shoots Greg square in the chest. Greg goes down, he has blood spilling from his mouth, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So Greg, everyone's hearing this in the office, and so Angela thinks Greg is dead, and she's like, oh my gosh. And then Sandoval, he's like on pins and needles because, he really wants Lobos to escape. So Tommy and the last remaining Hugo henchman, they get Lobos. They use the wire cutters to remove his GPS tracking system, and they put him in the van. They drive off. So as they're driving off, it's only people in the car is Tommy, Lobos, and one of Hugo's guys. So Tommy pulls off the side of the road to this underpass, where the trains we call them viaducts in Chicago. And Hugo's guy's like, this isn't part of the plan. And then Tommy's like, just chill. We have to get rid of the eye in the sky, talking about the helicopters. So Hugo's guy's like, I'm calling Hugo. And he gets ready to call Hugo, and out of the cut comes Ghost, shoots the guy, and Lobos is crazy, so says, no, that's odd. This is odd. And then it just descends into pure shenanigans. I'm telling you, Lobos is a character. So Tommy, Ghost, Lobos, they take him from that van, put him in the car, they drive him to this indescript location, and they're basically marching him through this field with all these overgrown bushes and stuff. And so they're driving, and Lobos is just like, how did you steal him away from me? Talking about Ghost and Tommy, and he's like, the dog always goes back to his master. And so then Tommy loses it. He's beating the guy up, he's stomping on him, and Ghost has to stop him. And he's basically like, we're gonna stick to the plan. So then Lobos is like, yeah, do you really think you can kill me and get away with it? Then he brings up Angela. He's like, oh, she's so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And I have someone, Hugo, if I don't make it to my destination, he's gonna kill Angela. So James like, call it off. And I'm really annoyed at James at this point, because it's like, as Tommy told him prior, Angela is your weakness, and that's why your head isn't in the game. And then Tommy's like, no, F you, we ain't calling nothing off. And they have this little back and forth, and then Lobos, he feels like he's getting the edge, so he keeps talking. And then he tells Tommy, he's like, yeah, you're a little white, delicate flower. Hugo's with her right now. And so now he's really talked himself back into getting killed, because they know he's lying, because Holly's dead. So now Jamie knows that he doesn't have anybody on Angela either. So Jamie puts a gun back on him, tell him to march. They march into this grave that they had pre-dug. And then Lobos delivers this chilling statement to Ghost. He says, one day you're going to find yourself in this same position, because God doesn't take guys like us easy. And so while they're getting ready to kill him, Sandoval's back in the office. He gets a call from Hugo saying Lobos did not make it to the destination. What's going on? And so then Sandoval's panicking, and he calls Lobos. And while he and James and Tommy have Lobos by the grave, a phone rings. We already know from that the phone, they weren't supposed to have phones because they can be tracked based on the ping on the cell tower. So they're panicking. I thought you patted him down. Why he has a phone? Blah, blah, blah. So they find the phone. They break the phone. And they're trying to figure out who's calling. And Lobos is laughing, and he won't tell them. So while Tommy and James have this side argument, Lobos runs off into the field like meet the Roadrunner. And he is gone. He's still handcuffed, but he runs through this field. And so now James and Tommy have to search through this field trying to find this guy. And this is just pure shenanigans. So it starts to get dark. They're still trying to find him. And then Lobos, he comes behind James. He hits him with a big branch or something. They fall down, and they're tussling and fighting. And Tommy hears them. He rushes over. And long story short, James gets the better of him, and he shoots Lobos in the chest. So now they're just like, okay, we have to get out of here. So then they go back to this like locker room, and they're changing from their killer clothes to their regular clothes. And James is having this conversation with Tommy. He's like, we're free, Tommy, we're finally free. But Tommy's head is still not right, and he's not seeing the sky through rose-colored glasses like Ghost is. But he's basically like, you're free, you can find a new girl. And then Tommy's like, I can't replace Holly. And he's like, I'm sorry about Holly, blah, blah, blah. So then Ghost goes back to the hotel. He told the doorman that he'd been on a run, and they're preparing to leave. And then Tasha was like, she watches this scene where he's texting Angela. Well, while he was gone, Angela was texting James, and Tasha was responding to the text. So he gets the phone back. He's like, man, you sound just like me. And then Tasha's like, I just remembered all the things you used to tell me. So James was like, well, I have to call her. We don't go this long without talking. So Tasha witnesses this whole conversation where they're telling each other how much they love each other, blah, blah, blah. So when he gets off the phone, Tasha's like, well, while you were gone, she found the separation papers. And they have this argument. And Tasha was like, I already signed them because I'm so done with you. And so, they're really, really done. The next day, he meets with Karen, and Tasha excuses herself from dinner to say she has to go back to see the kids because she doesn't want to be with Ghost any longer than she has to. So, it looks like Ghost is going to get everything he wants. Everything's all tied in a neat little bow. And up pops Dean, the head of security. So he's having this meeting, and James is just like, look, I told you not to follow me. And then Dean's like, oh, I saved your life, and this is not how usually people respond. He's like, I don't care. I told you not to follow me. So later on, Dean and this other guy show up in James' office, and James is still, being kind of rude to him and saying, like, I don't need you. And Dean basically pulls off the mask and was like, look, I ain't Dean. I ain't no head of security. I'm Milan. So then James is just like, oh, crap. And Milan, if you recall, is the Serbian who Tommy was working with his partner, and James killed him last season. So he's basically like, you took something from me. You owe me my shipment of drugs that picked up by the cops, and you're going to work for me until you pay me back. So now he was this close to being free. Now he's back in the game, and he's not only in the game, he's working for somebody else. So then he goes to Tom, and he's like, we have to start back. Milan is in the picture, and we have to pay him back. And so Tommy's like, so what, you want to start, the business again? And he's like, we don't have a choice. So then Tommy is just like, well, Angela's still in the picture. And I think Tommy's hating a little bit because, he lost the love of his life, and he wants Ghost to lose the love of his life too. He's like, well, you think you're going to lie to her? She only agreed to be with you because she thought you were out of the game. And now we're back in. You're going to go to her every day. You really think she's going to protect you, blah, blah, blah. So he basically says, I can't even imagine what Milan's going to do to her. And I don't like Angela, but I don't need to think she deserves that. So then, he plants that seed in Ghost's head that he's like, the only way to protect her is you get rid of her. So now Ghost knows that his whole dream is just up in flames. So we see him go to Angela's house. And Angela's still in this love-induced haze because prior to him leaving to go stay at Karen's hotel, he had sold her this dream that they're going to be jet-setting. Once the deal goes through with Karen, they're going to be jet-setting around the world. Tokyo, Paris, Italy, Milan. And now, so when he walks in, so she's still in this love-induced haze, yes, we're going to be jet-setting. And he's like, I got to break up with you. And she's like, what? He's like, do you trust your 15-year-old self to make decisions for us now? And then Angela's just like, you were just telling me how much you're in love with me and this is going to be our new life. What happened? And he's like, well, Tariq ran away and my family needs me. And she's like, I never asked you to choose between me and your kids. What's going on? But he won't tell her because he can't tell her. So he basically is like, this isn't gonna work out. It's the right decision, which is the name of the episode, The Right Decision. And he walks out. And we know Angela's a pretty tough cookie, but we hear her break down into tears. She falls on the floor, and James is on the other side of the door, and he's all torn up. And he puts his hand on the doorknob like he's gonna go back in there, and he's really fighting himself. And she just is bawling out of control. And then he's crying, but then he wipes his face and toughens up, and then he walks off. And that was really the episode in a nutshell. And where it stands, Tommy goes, they're back in business, and Angela's out of the picture for now. So it looks like things are gonna go back to the same, but nothing's the same. So yeah, that's it for tonight, and see you guys next time.